This is absurd. I don't have time for this. Evelyn Ashford, 46, doesn't wait for permission. She scrolls her phone, sighs loudly, and speaks to the bench like court is an inconvenience. Judge Frank Caprio sets his pen down. Mrs. Ashford, this is a courtroom. Put the phone away and address the charges. I'm here. That should be enough. Her attorney, Richard Vance, jumps up. Your Honor, my client is prepared to pay all applicable fines and resolve this immediately. Caprio doesn't raise his voice. Mr. Vance, sit down. This court is not a payment portal. The words land. Vance hesitates, then sits. Caprio taps his pen once. Officer Dantes, confirm the bodycam audio is ready. Yes, Your Honor. The clerk steps forward. Docket 24 to 10,003. Commonwealth versus Evelyn Marie Ashford. Charges: unauthorized use of a disabled parking space, destruction of a citation, verbal intimidation of an officer, failure to appear on 2 summons notices. Citation issued Tuesday 9:17 a.m. by Officer Leah Romano. Caprio leans in. Mrs. Ashford, did you receive the 2 summons notices mailed to your residence? My assistant handles correspondence. That's not what I asked. Did you receive them? I assume so. Caprio looks to the clerk. Delivery confirmation. Yes, Your Honor. 2 certified notices, both signed at the defendant's address. Caprio flips a page. There's also a prior warning. 9 months ago, parking in a loading zone during a charity gala. Access blocked for 2 hours. Evelyn shrugs. I don't recall. The report says you told the officer. Do you know whose name is on the museum wing? She doesn't deny it. Vance tries again. Your Honor, my client acknowledges she could have handled this better. She's ready to pay and move on. Caprio cuts him off. Paying a fine only proves you can afford bad behavior. He turns back to Evelyn. I want to understand what happened. Mrs. Ashford, walk me through Tuesday morning. Evelyn exhales, irritated. I parked outside a medical building on Elmwood Avenue. I was inside maybe 15 minutes for a consultation. When I came back, there was a ticket on my windshield. I removed it. I didn't believe it was valid. Caprio doesn't blink. You parked in a disabled parking space. No one was using it. That's not the question. The space was clearly marked with the international symbol of access. Correct. A pause, yes, but it was vacant. Caprio leans forward. Access isn't scheduled, Mrs. Ashford, because disability isn't scheduled. He lifts a paper. Let me read one line from a written statement. Thomas Bennett, disabled veteran. Arrival time, 9:32 a.m. My wheelchair lift could not deploy because a vehicle blocked the access aisle. Evelyn waves it off. He could have waited. Her attorney jumps in. Objection, Your Honor. This is unrelated hardship. Caprio cuts him down instantly. Denied. Access denial is not unrelated. It's causation. Your client blocked the only accessible space. That prevented entry. He turns to the officer. Officer Romano, read your narrative. Officer Leah Romano steps forward, calm, precise. At 9:17 a.m., I observe a white luxury sedan parked in a disabled space at Elmwood Medical Center. Proper signage and markings were present. No disabled placard or plate displayed. I issued a citation and placed it on the windshield. At 9:33 a.m., I observed the driver exit the building, remove the citation, tear it into quarters, and discard it. The courtroom is silent. I approached and informed her of the violation. She stated, "This is ridiculous. Do you know who I am?" When I confirmed the citation was valid, she said, "My foundation funds half this city. I own you." Caprio pauses. Officer Romano, did you perceive that as intimidation? Yes, Your Honor. Evelyn leans forward. It was a figure of speech. I was frustrated. Caprio doesn't argue. Officer Dantes, play the bodycam audio. Relevant portion only. Static. Then her voice, sharp and unmistakable. My foundation funds half this city. I own you. Silence. Caprio lets it sit. Mrs. Ashford, you're married to Marcus Ashford, founder of Ashford Innovations and the Ashford Foundation. Yes. And that foundation has donated to city projects. Yes. So when you said, my foundation funds half this city, What did you mean? A beat. I meant we active philanthropists. Caprio, Officer Romano, how did you interpret that statement? Romano, as intimidation, Your Honor. An assertion of ownership over public process. Caprio nods once, figures of speech still enter the record. Mrs. Ashford. He turns to the clerk. Miss Reyes. Any contact with this court before today's hearing? Pages flip. Yes, Your Honor. 3 phone calls. 1 email. All tied to Ashford Foundation Public Relations. Timestamps. First call, 9:54 a.m. Second, 10:22 a.m. Third, 10:41 a.m. Email received at 10:18 a.m. Caprio doesn't look up. Read the email into the record. The clerk reads, Subject, Ashford Matter Resolution. Foundation leadership requests a quiet resolution before public proceedings. Given the Foundation's support of city initiatives, discretion would be appreciated. Richard Vance jumps up. Your Honor, my client didn't authorize those communications. Overruled. Caprio's voice is flat. Pressure on process is relevant when documented. I'm not alleging crimes. I'm establishing facts. Evelyn shifts that I didn't make those calls. Caprio meets her eyes. Maybe not. But someone believed they would help. He lays it out. Citation issued, 9:17 a.m. First call, 9:54 a.m. Email, 10:18 a.m. A pause, that's 61 minutes. Someone moved fast. Caprio turns back to the clerk. Is Thomas Bennett available? Yes, Your Honor. By phone. Put him through. A steady voice fills the room. Thank you, Your Honor. I'm a disabled veteran. I use a wheelchair. I arrived at Elmwood Medical Center at 9:32 a.m. for a 9:30 therapy appointment. The only accessible space was occupied. No placard. The access aisle was blocked. I couldn't deploy my lift. Silence. By the time I found alternate parking, I missed 30 minutes of therapy. That session was for pain management. I had to reschedule. His voice hardens. Accessibility is not optional. Evelyn mutters under her breath. Caprio doesn't miss it. Mrs. Ashford, if you have something to say it clearly. I was only there 15 minutes. Caprio answers instantly. 15 minutes denied of veteran medical access. He nods once. Mr. Bennett, thank you. Your statement is on the record. He line disconnects. Caprio lifts a document. Miss Reyes, confirmed delivery of the summons notices. Yes, Your Honor. First mailed September 18th. Signed September 20th. Second mailed October 2nd. Signed October 4th. Both signed E. Ashford or per E. Ashford. Evelyn tightens her jaw. My assistant signs for deliveries. But you were aware of them. I don't review every piece of mail. Caprio's voice firms. 2 certified notices over 3 weeks. Responsibility can't be delegated. Richard Vance rises. Careful now. Your Honor, given the Ashford Foundation's municipal role, we request discretion to avoid unnecessary public complications. Caprio doesn't blink. Sunlight is fairness. We stay on the record. He looks directly at Evelyn. 3 yes or no questions. Did you park in a disabled space without authorization? Yes. Did you tee up the citation and discard it? Yes. Did you tell Officer Romano, I own you? A pause that was taken out of context. That's not a no. Evelyn exhales. Yes, Your Honor. Her voice rises. This is punitive. My family has given millions to this city. We fund programs. We support infrastructure. This building exists because of donors like us. Caprio cuts in. Calm. Charity is not currency for exemptions. It should mean something. It means service, not immunity. Evelyn blurts it. I own you. Silence. 0.5 seconds. TEN.N01 moves. Then Caprio speaks, quiet and final. Mrs. Ashford, you own nothing in this courtroom. Not the process. Not the outcome. Not me. He looks down once. The evidence supports all 4 charges. Officer Romano's account is credible. Corroborated by body cam audio, photographs, the destroyed citation, confirmed summons delivery, and documented Foundation contact attempts. Mrs. Ashford parked in a disabled space. She denied a disabled veteran medical access. She destroyed a citation. She intimidated an officer by invoking wealth. She failed to appear. Twice Caprio pauses. This court does not weigh cases by wealth, foundations, or donor profiles. Charity is not currency. Donations do not buy immunity. Public trust is not a charitable write-off. He turns a page. You were warned 9 months ago. That warning was instructional. You ignored it. Comfort hid the lesson. Consequences will teach it. Base fines, $850. Unauthorized disabled parking, $300 officer intimidation, $300 administrative fees and contempt, $250 Evelyn exhales. Caprio raises a hand. I'm not finished. $450 is stayed. It will be forgiven only if you complete a restorative accountability plan. Fail it, and you pay every dollar. Here are the terms. 1. Written apologies to Officer Leo Romano and Thomas Bennett, not drafted. Not filtered your words. Your responsibility delivered in person if they consent, otherwise mailed and confirmed by this court. 2:200 hours community service. 100 hours Rhode Island Food Bank. 100 hours Access Coalition assisting accessibility audits.no cameras.no press.no foundation branding. 3. Fund and participate in 3 public service announcements. Topic: accessible parking and the line between generosity and entitlement. Script court-approved.no names.no logos. Plain truth only. 4. Completion of an ethical governance course. Focus. Boundaries between philanthropy and public power. Certification filed with this court. Caprio finishes calmly. This court is not for sale. Access is a right. Respect is not optional. 5th, the court orders a 1,000-word written reflection on the subject of wealth and service. Not a polished statement for the public, but an honest account rooted in truth. Judge Caprio places his pen down and speaks clearly. Mercy, he explains, is not something you announce. It is something you commit to and live by. He then places several formal recommendations on the record, directed to the municipal court administration, the mayor's office, and the city council. First, a weekly ex parte influence log must be created for every case. Any attempt at private or off-the-record communication, including those from donors, foundations, or their representatives, must be recorded and made public. Transparency is no longer optional. Second, mandatory recusal procedures are to be enforced for cases connected to donors. If a defendant has ties to major municipal contributors, the case must be flagged immediately. Court staff must step aside or receive written authorization from a supervisor before proceeding. Third, the city is urged to draft and adopt a donor firewall statute. This law must clearly state that charitable giving does not grant special treatment or advantage in municipal courts. Generosity cannot be confused with authority. Fourth, new priority towing rules are recommended for disabled parking spaces. Any unauthorized vehicle found in an accessible bay should result in an immediate tow, without delay or discretion. Access must be protected at all times. Fifth, the court proposes a public service announcement program titled Privilege versus Public Trust. These PSAs should feature direct voices from disabled residents and enforcement officers, highlighting real-world consequences and responsibility. This model, the court notes, firmly separates generosity from power. Over the next 14 weeks, Evelyn completes each requirement step by step. In the first week, she drafts a written apology. The court rejects it, noting it sounds overly formal and clearly shaped by legal counsel. She rewrites it again, this time using her own words. The tone changes. The court accepts it. Officer Romano agrees to meet her in a neutral setting. The meeting is short, tense, and unavoidable. During the conversation, Romano tells her plainly that when she claimed authority over him, it made his duty feel negotiable. He reminds her his job is not for sale. The message lands. Thomas Bennett accepts a written apology, but declines a face-to-face meeting. In an email to the court, he explains that acknowledgement of harm is enough. No further interaction is required. From weeks 2 through 12, Evelyn completes 200 hours of service across both assigned organizations. At the food bank, she sorts supplies, helps on distribution days, and answers intake calls. There are no cameras, no public relations teams, and no foundation involvement. One supervisor reminds her that service is not about visibility, but consistency. At the Access Coalition, she takes part in accessibility inspections. She learns the technical standards behind ramps, entrances, and clearances. She attends community listening sessions and hears first-hand experiences. One wheelchair user tells her clearly that access is not charity, it is infrastructure. In Week 10, Evelyn records the court-ordered PSAs. The first versions mention community partners and leadership roles. The court sends them back without approval. She records them again, using plain language. No logos, no branding, no references to her foundation. The revised versions are approved. The ethics and governance course lasts an additional 4 weeks. She completes it without objection or delay. The final record is straightforward. 200 service hours completed. 3 PSAs approved. 1 lesson made clear. Service stands above status. Officer Romano later confirms to the court that every hour was completed on time. That confirmation carries weight. 14 weeks after the original hearing, Evelyn returns to court. This time, she arrives alone. No attorney. No foundation representatives. No assistants. Judge Caprio reviews the file carefully, including the apologies, service records, PSA recordings, course certificate, and written reflection. He looks up and addresses her directly. He states that he has read her reflection and now wants her to summarize it in her own words. No notes. No prepared remarks. Evelyn stands and speaks plainly. She admits that she believed wealth meant access. She believed her family's donations allowed her to bypass rules, ignore citations, and dismiss court obligations. That belief, she now acknowledges, was wrong. She admits she once believed that donating money meant ownership. In her mind, giving funds translated into control. She now understands that financial contributions do not buy exemptions from the law. Wealth, she explains, is a duty to act responsibly, not a badge of authority. She pauses, choosing her words carefully. When she told Officer Romano, "I own you," she acknowledges she was trying to turn generosity into leverage. That moment, she admits, crossed a line. Public servants answer to the community as a whole, not to individual benefactors. No donation changes that responsibility. She continues by addressing the harm caused to Mr. Bennett. Blocking his access was not a minor delay or inconvenience. It prevented him from receiving medical care he earned through his service. In that moment, she didn't just misuse privilege. She took something from someone who had already given enough. When asked what she learned from Officer Romano, her answer is direct. Law enforcement is not a negotiation. When she invoked her foundation, she tried to make duty conditional on her approval. She now recognizes that behavior for what it was. That is not generosity. That is corruption. The court then turns to her experience with the Access Coalition. She explains that accessible parking is not a courtesy or favor. It is engineered infrastructure designed with purpose. Ramp angles, space widths, and transfer zones exist for a reason. Every detail matters. When she blocked that space, she didn't delay access. She erased it entirely. Judge Caprio nods in response. He states that she has stopped using wealth as protection and has begun to understand it as responsibility. He signs the order and announces the financial ruling. $400 of the state amount is forgiven. The remaining $450 will be paid over 6 months. The court will track compliance closely. He offers one final reminder. Public trust, he says, is not something that can be written off. She thanks the court. He responds firmly, telling her not to thank him. Instead, she should thank the people who taught her the lessons the courtroom alone could not. 6 months later, the reforms take effect across the city. The weekly ex parte influence log becomes active. In the first quarter, 4 donor-related contact attempts are recorded. Each is addressed openly under the new rules. Court staff report stronger confidence in maintaining neutrality without pressure. The donor firewall statute is drafted and passed unanimously by City Council. Any case involving prominent philanthropic families is now automatically flagged for added oversight. Mandatory recusal policies are enforced across all municipal courts. Any staff member contacted by foundation representatives must receive supervisor approval before proceeding. The The disabled parking tow priority policy is implemented citywide. Unauthorized vehicles are removed faster, reducing clearance time by more than half. Complaints from disabled residents drop significantly, reflecting real change on the ground. The court's public service campaign launches under the title Privilege versus Public Trust. Evelyn's recordings are distributed to 43 schools. They are not promoted or praised. They are simply used. And that, the court notes, is enough. One disabled veteran later emails the court. He explains that his grandson watched the PSA and asked why people block accessible spaces. It led to a meaningful conversation about infrastructure versus convenience. He thanks the court for making that lesson possible. On a quiet Friday afternoon, Judge Caprio closes his final case of the week. Before leaving the courtroom, he writes a single principle on a note card and pins it behind the bench. Public offices are not for sale. They exist to serve. He thinks of Evelyn Ashford, of Officer Romano standing firm in a parking lot, of Thomas Bennett waiting as medical appointments slipped away. He turns off the lights, locks the door, and leaves the courtroom silent.